Hi, I'm Sharon Kreider. I'm in the Western CPE studio in Bozeman, Montana. And in case you want a weather report, there isn't any snow here. But it's not 80 degrees like it is in San Diego or in Miami. What we're going to do first, I want to relate to you some questions and answers that came from the IRS Stakeholder Liaison meeting for the Northwestern United States. I just picked a few questions that might help us during tax season. Some of this we've sent out in our e-tax alerts and in my Twitter account. I've sent out a few of these things, and I want to make sure that you hear what the IRS is saying right now too. So our first question that went in from stakeholders, so from tax pros, into the IRS was, the 2020 Form 1040 asks whether at any time during 2020 I received, sold, sent, exchanged, or otherwise acquired any financial interest in virtual currency. So during 2020, I purchased virtual currency with real currency. This is the IRS sort of making this happen in the question. So let's say I purchased Bitcoin, I wish I really had, with dollars, and I had no other virtual currency transactions during 2020. I only have a purchase. Do I have to answer yes on the Form 1040? And here is the IRS being reasonable as long as we explain carefully to our client what the question is asking about. So the answer that the IRS provided is no, if your only transaction involving virtual currency during 2020 was the purchase of virtual currency with real currency, with US dollars, you are not required to answer yes to the Form 1040 question. Now, I did just call it US dollars, and it of course can be other real currency. What the IRS is trying to ask about is, did I exchange my one kind of virtual currency for another kind of virtual currency? Did I move one into Bitcoin when I bought the Bitcoin? Because there are no tax deferred exchanges on anything except real property. So they're looking to make sure that I report my exchanges and of course that I report sales. And so that's what the question is about. I can answer no if I am, this is my first purchase of virtual currency. I was such a good buy low, sell high, and I have not yet disposed of my Bitcoin, waiting for it to react to maybe what happened or not. The second question that I picked out, how will the economic impact payments be handled on the tax returns? Which one goes with what year? And I have been asked this a few times in our webcast. So rebate number one, the $1,200 one, and rebate number two, the $600 amount, those are the advance payments of recovery, rebate, credit, and they are reconciled on the 2020 return. That is even though the second payment may have arrived in 2021. Early 2021. So advance payment, recovery payment 1 and 2 go on the 2020 return for reconciliation, and the $1,400 advanced payment number 3, which is just started to be paid out. It started actually, and I can remember this date, this is from the American Rescue Plan, the first rollout of payments, the $1,400 payments, started on March 17th. They were St. Patrick's Day present to 90 million people. Those are reconciled on the 2021 tax return. Now, I don't reconcile at all if the client received the full amount. They receive the full amount, they receive zero. I don't have to do the EIP worksheet with my 2020 return. What we're looking for in the reconciliation is that in 2019 or even 18 return, income was much higher than it turned out to be in our pandemic year in 2020. So I'm entitled to more of a rebate. or I have a baby in 2020, so my EIP 1 and 2 did not take that into consideration. That's the only time I'm actually going to that worksheet and feeding that the taxpayer is going to receive a bigger rebate than they received in these advanced payments. And then, of course, we'll be doing the same thing on the 2021 return regarding these $1,400 rebate payments that are in banks now and coming in the mail. How should we handle unemployment compensation for those folks that have already sent in tax returns and claimed it all as taxable income? Should we amend? Now, I think you've been reading up on this and you're a little ahead on the question, but we'll fill out a few more things. So the IRS on their website, now with the revised worksheet for how much is taxable on unemployment compensation, they say do not file an amended return, that the IRS will correct already filed returns through their software and their system. So we don't do anything on returns that were already filed. The IRS will send refunds at a later time. I don't know how late that will be, as the IRS is busy processing the 2020 returns that are being filed on there was a delay of 2 weeks before filing opened at the IRS. There was a flood of returns. They're still behind. I had read at one time that they had 7 million returns in processing for problems, and normally at the time they put out the report they had 2 million in. So things are moving slowly through the IRS, and we do, of course, have an extension now until May 17th on filing our returns instead of April 15th, giving the IRS a little bit more time to do those corrections. As we talk about that May 17th extension, as of today, when we're filming, that extension only applies to the 1040. It covers no filing requirement until May 17th, no payment of tax, no interest or penalty on any amount due. It does not extend the extensions. We are still hoping that the estimate payment will be extended until May 17th also. And notice that the Form 1041 and the 1120 were not extended past the April 15th due date. Now, this is about unemployment in the question that the IRS was handling. Since those questions, the liaison meeting happened, there's news on the unemployment exclusion. The unemployment is excludable as long as the taxpayer has a modified adjusted gross income. Their AGI is less than $150,000. When it goes over $150,000, they are not entitled to the exclusion. The exclusion is $10,200, and originally, as you read summaries of the American Rescue Plan Act, it said $10,200 per household. That was pretty promptly clarified by the IRS to say up to $10,200 for each spouse on a married filing joint return. So here's what has been revised, and it was revised in the instructions for the unemployment worksheet on March 24th. So this is just news that's coming out, and that is that when you are calculating AGI, the $150,000 AGI, you do not include the unemployment compensation in that number. That will allow more people to qualify, especially if we're talking sort of the spouses, the married spouses, and they have $20,000 or $30,000 between them of unemployment insurance. Pulling that out of the AGI might make a difference for several of your clients. How do we return EIP payment 2? Now, I had EIP payment 1 paid in, sent by a check to the son of a decedent. He said, what do I do with this? And at the beginning, we had no instructions. I said, hang on for a minute. I don't know how you return the check or if you even have to return a check. Now, his mother died in 2018, and he received a check in 2020, so you and I were pretty sure that had to be returned. The same thing could have happened on the second round of payment, the $600 one. There is an address to return the check. So it's at the IRS. It's an FAQ on the IRS's coronavirus section of their website. It gives you address. So if the person is not alive, if the check was sent to a decedent, the check is returned and the address is on the FAQs, the IRS website.